And Todd, with that, we'll let you take over the inside scoop to break down Broncos Jets, what went right on defense, what can improve on offense. And of course, no one knows the Denver Broncos better than our very own Todd Davis, who spent training camp with them as a coach.
All right, let's get into it. There's no better way to start than starting with the first play of the day. This is a sack by Justin Strnad, and I think this is you got to have some big cojones to call a zero blitz on the very first play of a game. So I think Vance Joseph was dialing it up here. You get motion, and they disguise it well, make it look like zone because, they bump the motion, but it's a true zero blitz. Safety's coming down on tight end. Everybody's manned up. Somebody's supposed to have this, fullback leaking out, but we don't have to get there. But it's a double A-gap penetration by the D-line and wraps by the two linebackers. And Justin Strnad does a good job of hitting it downhill, straightforward, and getting to Aaron Rodgers. It's funny because they actually were running a double move on this play. The Jets were, so they were trying to make a big splash play on the first play as well. But, Justin Strnad was fast enough to get home that it didn't matter what you called as the offense. Great sack by him and great first play of the season as a starter.
Yeah, just talk about what a ballsy move by Vance Joseph to do this. Not just the first play of the game, not just with the guy that's playing his first defensive snap since 2021, but also Aaron Rodgers is a guy that you got to be really careful how you blitz him, when you blitz him, how much you blitz him, because he's a guy that if he knows you're blitzing and he picks up on it, you're toast. Yep. He's going to pick your defense apart. So that is all Vance Joseph calling the blitz at the right time to throw him off guard.
Yeah, and I love it too because, Aaron Rodgers, we all know it, he's getting older. So you want him thinking about the pressure. You want him thinking about his Achilles. You want him thinking about his shoulder injury from week 17, 4 years ago. Like, you want all those things in his mind because he's getting older, man. You got to protect your body.
Now, I feel bad for him.
No.
Like when he's just all scrawny out there and he looks like an old wet dog who's trying to be let in from the storm.
No.
You just crunch him and
the picture of him at the end of the game on the sideline with the towel over his face and he looks miserable. Oh, what a great picture.
No, I agree.
What a great picture.
He brings it on himself, but there is a part of you that's just like, oh God, that guy doesn't belong out here anymore.
He definitely feels older than Tom when he was at the end of his career.
Yeah.
Yeah, he feels like he's getting up there.
Really quick, Todd, I have a question because that was the very first defensive play of the game. Obviously, the first 15 for an offense is talked about all the damn time, probably over talked about. Is there a first 15 on defense, or when did Vance know he was going to call that play? Is that something last Tuesday he was thinking about at the Greenbrier, or is this something where Aaron gets on the field and he's like, all right, let's dial this up?
No, I think he knew earlier in the week because just like teams have first 15s, like you mentioned, defensive coordinators have to understand the thought process of the offensive coordinator putting together the first 15. So although your first 15 is different every week as an offense, you have things that you like to do. Everybody has tails. Everybody has tendencies. So because you guys like to maybe take a chunk play or make a big play on first down, first play of the game, okay, I'm just going to send a zero blitz and won't let you guys get anything and just start lighting you up to get the day started. So you definitely have to be thinking about your first 15 to attack the offense's first 15.
And that wasn't play action, right? That was just a straight drop back?
Yeah, straight drop back.
So I talked about a bunch the week before how I really liked the Thursday Night Football game and the last Jets game where they just came out and went play action, play action, play action. If you're the Broncos and you see them lined up heavy like that, you probably think there's a good chance it's play action. If it's not play action, it's probably a run up the middle.
Either way, that zero blitz is perfect for both.
Exactly. Yeah. But the straight drop back, now all of a sudden you're scared of the quick pass. But when it's the double move and it takes some time to develop, it's maybe just a little bit lucky that it was a longer developing pass when it could have been something quicker.
Yeah. Well, luck is what they say. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Wow.
At least that's what you say. Wisdom. Yeah, that's perfect.
All right, next play here is an easy third down. This is it's called 3 buzz. So you got guys buzzing out here. You're going to have deep thirds played by the corners and the safeties, and this safety down is coming down to play this hook on this side. It's a good, third and long call for the Broncos, and this is the forced fumble by Brandon Jones. He does a great job of holding the disguise because it looks like too high all the way. They're already running their routes, and it still looks like too high. But he does a great job of dropping down into his zone. And then just puts his hat on the ball, and he does a great job of forcing the fumble here. And these are the type of plays that defenses need to be successful. Yeah, we want to be good and stop you and not let you run the ball, but big plays happen. Teams are able to put together drives at times, but if you can stop drives by forcing turnovers, I feel like that's how you really win football games.
Especially early on in a game
Yep.
against a good offense. And now the Broncos defense has done this twice in 4 weeks. That is incredible. On the very first drive, getting the ball in opposing teams' territory, setting your offense up so they don't have to do a damn thing to get a point unless they go backward like they did on this drive. Like, it was
Yeah.
inexcusable that the Broncos didn't come away with at least a 3-0 lead in this game, and inexcusable they didn't come away with the 7-0 lead against the Seahawks, but the defense certainly did their job.
Yeah, for sure. I think they should have came away with points. I mean, you get the ball, what is that, the 28-yard line?
Yeah, it's
and
45-yard
Lutz
field goal.
as your kicker, like, the least you should do is just stay right there.
Yeah,
you know?
okay, we're going to do 3 quarterback sneaks so we don't lose any yards and get
Yeah.
a 3-0 lead.
I'm fine with being conservative when you get the ball in plus territory like that. All right, let's move on to the next play. So we talked about Bo. We talked about his 60 yards. And, some of it's Bo being a young quarterback, and some of it is not Bo's fault. So I have 2 plays that are back-to-back where it's like, hey, this is not Bo's fault. And then, hey, Bo could be a little bit better in this situation.
Love
so
it.
this is a concept that the Broncos continue to run over and over. I think is one of their favorites, where they run these clear-out routes by the front wide receivers and run this deep over by the back receiver, and they love hitting it right here. This is the same play they hit to Troy Franklin the other way. They dress it up with a million different formations, but they love running this concept here. The only problem with this one is Greg Dulcich is right here, and he's supposed to have a seal block on this outside linebacker. So he already has him leveraged, and he's supposed to seal him in so Bo can buy time, get around this edge, and find the receiver dragging and coming across on this deep over. Well, the problem is Greg doesn't do his job to the caliber that he's capable of, and this outside linebacker ends up working outside of him and ends up putting pressure on Bo when everything's happening the way the Broncos want. We're clearing out Sauce with Cortland, so he's going high. The safety is taking this over route. This linebacker's eyes are front side, so this over route coming is going to be wide open. But the problem is he doesn't have the time to do his job because of this missed block here, when in all actuality, he's going to get this man free like they want, and there's going to be a big play there. But he has to dump it off down low, and the defender's on it, and that's not what the Broncos want. They made the right play call against the right defense. They're in cover 3, so everybody's sinking, but they just don't have enough time because of the blocking up front to get this ball where they need it to go.
And then he would have had over -7 yards at halftime. He would have had over 100 yards by the end of the game. And maybe the Broncos run away with this one. It's a really, really good thing to point out, though, there, Todd, because it was a good play call there, and the shot was there, and the Broncos would have got points on that first drive.
Yeah, I think it would have, worked out and gave Bo confidence to make some better plays throughout the entire game. And they, like I said, they run this concept a lot. So they ran it later on in the game. But when it works out for them, it works out really well. It's a great deep shot, and it's really hard to defend with. You got to protect all these vertical routes too, so it's not an easy route to defend. All right, this is another play. Okay, now this one I feel like is more on Bo, and I think this is where he has to mature and get better as a young quarterback, which I believe that he can. You're going to get a levels concept by these 3 wide receivers up top, and you get Bo dropping back. So levels. You got the flat, you got the hookup, and you're going to have the dig right here. Well, the thing about this play and why it gets messed up, Palchevsky is doing a great job of blocking his guy. He has his DN over here. He's making him run past the quarterback, which is great. So there's no pressure on Bo. So what Bo should do right now is just step up in the pocket right here. You got a QB spy right here, but he's not threatening Bo. So Bo should step up in the pocket and still feel comfortable that, hey, I have Quinn Miners right here. He can block him if he needs to. I can step up and wait for this route to clear so that I can make the throw that I need to make. But unfortunately, Bo gets antsy, and he darts out to this side of the field. That's why he's way over here. Instead, if he just sit in this pocket, he will be right where he needs to be. And so when he darts this way, Josh Reynolds is open, but he doesn't know whether he should continue his dig here and hit this open window, or if he needs to stop his dig here because Bo is flowing this way. He doesn't want to flow opposite the quarterback. But for those reasons, they kind of have miscommunication, and Bo did that get messed up? Well, at the end of this play, Bo kind of throws this ball here, and Josh didn't know where to be, and plus the ball was in the dirt. But I think he put more pressure on himself by getting out of the pocket too early. When the O-line was doing a great job of blocking everybody up, if you step up and make the throw, I think it's perfect.
I have to imagine, especially 2 straight games with no sacks for Bo.
Yeah.
That's partly credited to him. That's partly credited to the offensive line. The new offensive line with Palcho in their right tackle over these past 2 games. I have to imagine Bo's just going to start trusting the offensive line more and more and more, at least hopefully, and then be comfortable staying in the pocket and instead of getting out of the pocket.
Yes, I think so. And once he does that, I think he'll make more throws and better throws, because this right here, I think it's a throw under the duress that he puts himself in instead of actually being under duress. So I think he can get the ball to Josh Reynolds right here, just like he did to Cortland. Very similar route. This is a deep dig that he hit Cortland on a beautiful deep dagger. So he's very capable of getting the ball where it needs to be if he just doesn't feel the pressure like he has to throw it right now.
I love that. All
right, this is Bo's best throw of the day. I mean, when you talk about ways he can get better, you also got to talk about the things he did well. I thought this was a great throw to Cortland, the longest pass of the day, and I think his most accurate pass. And he has the ability to deliver the ball when he needs to, when he's not under duress, when he's not throwing off his back foot, when he's really leading into his throw. You get the vertical concept here, and then Cortland's going to run what's called a deep dagger. So it's like 15 to 17 yards. He's going to run a deep in or dagger. And Bo puts this ball like right on the money. I mean, Sauce is an outside leverage, and Bo just does a great job of zipping this ball right in here to Cortland. And I thought it was his best throw of the day. And these are the throws he has to continue to make if the Broncos are going to be successful.
Yeah, and this was a huge jump start to the Broncos' touchdown drive. And I mean, this was 3rd and 11, right?
Yes.
3rd and 11, making this 23-yard completion, I think, just absolutely huge. And I love the way you broke it down, Todd.
Yeah, so this is, we needed this right here. And that leads, also on that drive, there was a lot of like good running plays. I thought the running backs held up really well in the run game. There was a couple plays that we had that penalties were involved that helped us move down the field, so we need those too. But right here is just a lead week by Michael Burton, and I thought that the Broncos O-line was doing a great job all game of getting to the second level. Like, these guys are dominating a pretty good front with Quinnen Williams and a couple other guys that are pretty talented. They were doing a great job in getting to the second level and giving Javonte space. Like, that's what you want as a running back. You want space to be able to make cuts and create big plays. So it's a nice cut back by Javonte. He ends up escaping out the backside. And, it's been a lot of times since we've seen space like that in the blocking our offensive line. So we got to give those big boys credit, and they did a great job on this play.
Yeah, and I mean, Quinn Miners and the rest of the offensive line say games are going to be won and lost on our shoulders. The first 2 weeks of the season, the offensive line was bad.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when Bo got sacked. Every time this season, it's also when there were just no holes in the run game. We saw that first Tyler Beatty run in week 1 where he got the 16 yards, and you broke it down. Yeah, Tyler did his job, but the offensive line, that was the only time they created a hole.
Yep.
Any running back can run behind a hole like this. So credit the offensive line, especially Quinnen Williams. He's one of the best in the game, and we weren't talking about him during the game because the offensive line took care of business.
Not at all. They did a great job. And this is how that drive ended. It was a great job of Cortland getting open. They're in man-to-man, and, usually in man-to-man when you have like a bunch, you usually work concepts. So you can stay in man or you can go to zone. A lot of people go to quarters concepts. You go to box, first in, first out, first up. You have to change the way that you defend against bunches because it's easy for everybody to run into each other. You can't just be locked on your man. Well, something happens with their communication, and they do not pick up Cortland at all. So they let him run free. You have he's going to take the point, and both these guys are going to take the inside guy. But that's not our fault. We didn't ask you to do that, and that leaves Cortland scot-free going to the back pylon, and Bo delivers a pretty good ball. High ball, could have been a little bit lower, but Cortland does his job and toe taps in the end zone, and that's a great hookup between Cortland and Bo Nix. And if we're going to be successful again, we need those two guys to be clicking, and this drive especially, that's exactly what they did.
And Bo's very first touchdown pass in his NFL career. Probably thought it was going to come a little earlier, but it came at just the right time because the Broncos had to have a touchdown there. And it's so rare to find guys that wide open in the red zone, especially when you're not just at the 20, you're at, the 7 or something like that, because there's just no space to run. So it was wild that Cortland was that wide open. Love seeing the breakdown.
Yes, sir. All right, just 2 more plays here. This one is another kudos to the offensive line. They were just playing hungry, like with their hair on fire. So they're supposed to, this is like an insert play. So Michael Burton's going to come here. Javante's going to start the action here, and then he's going to wind it back to be able to follow Burton. Kind of like a lead, but just creating it a different way. So this play, they double team here, and this is Michael Burton's guy. Well, Quinn Miners is like, hey, we've already demolished this guy. I want him too. So Michael Burton doesn't even have anybody to block because of how good this offensive line. I mean, look at this hole.
Yeah, wow.
He even takes Burton's guy and throws him out the club. Burton doesn't even block anybody on this play because the offensive line is playing so well. Javonte hits this massive hole once again, and carry people at the end of the run. But if the offensive line continues to block like this, there's no stopping the Broncos offense.
And Todd, go back one more slide really quick. Look at Cortland on this bottom right of the screen. He literally has his back turned to the end zone the Broncos are trying to score in because he's also got his guys so locked up.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be a great running team, you have to have great blocking from your wide receivers because you never know what block could spring it. Like if Javonte makes this guy miss, this guy isn't running it down. That's the difference between a touchdown or a 20-yard run. So it's important to have great blocking on the outside. And Cortland, I think, is a really good blocker.
Also, it's got to be so fun for Quinn to see a DB.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And just know, there's nothing you can do.
He also did kind of. I think it was Joe Lombardi brought it up, but he leans out a little bit too far sometimes because he gets overexcited. So he didn't blow the guy up, but next time.
But he threw him out the club. All right, this is my last play, and I think this is really where the Broncos won the game. This was the goal line stance. 1st and goal on the 1-yard line, and they end up kicking a field goal from the 6 after a penalty. And as linebackers, they always teach you start in the end zone, but you never want to stay in the end zone. You want to get out of the end zone as quick as possible because if you make a tackle in the end zone, that is a touchdown. So this is a great job of these guys playing downhill. Welps coming downhill, Cody Barton coming downhill, Jonah Ellis really filling this gap and not letting them have any space inside. And they do a great job of sealing this off. That's 3 hats to the football. There was no way they were getting in. And this was the 2nd down play that ended up leading to a 3rd down stop and eventually having them kick the field goal. But this is where you win and lose football games. Like, as an offensive coordinator, there is no reason why we don't score if we have 1st and goal from the 1. Like, you have so many plays at your disposal. You can run QB sneaks. It doesn't matter what it is. There's such a high probability of you scoring that it's purely defensive will and want to for them to not let you in the end zone. And that's what we saw right here.
And then they were going to go for it on 4th and 1.
Yep.
And then if they drew the false start instead of getting the offsides like they were looking for. And Aaron Rodgers has one of the best hard counts in the NFL. They were trying to get the Broncos to jump to get a couple more inches there. And so that's even more credit to the Broncos.
But why? Like that's the kind of like silly football stuff that doesn't make sense. Like the most you're going to get from this is 6 inches. I know there was no other way to say that, but pause.
That's pretty good.
Like you can only do more harm than good,
100%.
So there's no reason you have to even do hard count there. You should just quick count and go.